Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk with Suits, and I'm your host, Suits. So, this video is all about the gas. And no, I don't mean this kind of gas. Now, to be fair, it's not actually hackers, it's actually attackers, and we've covered that in a previous video. Hackers are just the people who are able to figure out the systems and go through. They're not always bad, they're not necessarily good. Hackers is just a general term. Attackers are the people who, malicious hackers. So I'll probably either say attackers or malicious hackers, depending on how I feel. So, what actually happened and who is affected? So, to start off with who, there's a giant company based out of Georgia called Colonial Pipeline. And if you're like, well, what's a pipeline? That's the entire point. They are a company that deals with oil. Colonial deals with pretty much the entire East Coast. They are known for supplying about 45% of the gas to the East Coast. What this means is it's gasoline for your car, diesel, home heating oil, even some military supplies, all that kind of stuff. They do about 45%, which is a lot. In fact, right here, I'm gonna go ahead and show you, there's a map of pretty much where they service, and these are the gas stations, and these are the states that got hit really hard. As you can see, that's not a small amount. Also, this is a list of pretty much all the gas stations that got hit, and not the gas stations, but the cities and states, the states at least, that are pretty much out of gas or how badly they were hit. That's not a happy list at all. So, what happened? Ransomware is what happened. So, the what of this? Ransomware. Their computers got hit with it. What is ransomware? If you've ever seen or heard if you've ever gotten ransomware in your computer, hopefully not, but a lot of the times computer places can take it off. It's the thing that the screen pops up. If you even Google just ransomware images, it's the one where the print pops up that says, hey, we've taken control of your computer. We've encrypted your files. We're not giving anything back until you pay us money. Usually it's Bitcoin, but sometimes you'll see maybe you get a spam email if you're a company that says, hey, we've gotten into your system. We've been watching you. We have all of your files. We're not giving them back until you pay us. Whatever the case may be. This is what happened to Colonial. They got a massive hit of ransomware that was demanding payment. Now, what did it cover? It was in their system. Here's the difference about when I say their system. I mean, it was in their general computer system, not their actual pipeline and oil fields, or their oil pipelines. Now, you might think, why would an oil company have a ton of computers? So to answer this, computers are not just for email, phone calls, and voicemails. A lot of industrial companies, like Colonial, have what they call SCADA. S-C-A-D-A. Supervisory, Control, and Data Acquisition. And you're going, what does that even mean? What that means is, all those little sensors, just like in your car when you have the sensor that comes up and says, hey, it's overheating, hey, your battery is running low, hey, you're almost out of gas, the tire pressure, whatever. These are sensors that are built in through your entire car that report back to the main computer in your car saying, hey, here's the problem. This is what we need you to do. In essence, that's the same thing. These little teeny sensors all over the place that are keeping control or watching the temperature, the pressure, the levels, the timing of things, all of these sensors report back to this main SCADA, and the main unit tells them back, hey, you need to release, you need to lower, you need to cool down, here's your timing, you need to do better with this. So it gives them the information and basically helps to supervise it. So that is also a lot of companies. Now, thankfully, this was not touched by the ransomware, but as any good technician knows, especially with cybersecurity, if one part of your organization gets hit by a virus or malware or anything like that, or something bad goes on with the computers, you want to isolate it and stop it from spreading to everything else. Can you imagine how bad it would have been had the malicious hackers been able to get into their SCADA system and control all those things? I can only imagine that something from Live Free, Die Hard would have happened with a giant explosion. Yeah, that one, they overrode the sensors and said, hey, release all the natural gas. We'll just see what happens. And so thank goodness this did not happen. We don't know what could have gone on with that, but ransomware is not a good thing, obviously. So what happened with this further? Well, because they got hit by ransomware and they couldn't use their systems, they decided to stop their pipeline so they couldn't deliver gas. A lot of places ran out of gas or were running very, very low. And it was causing a lot of problems. A lot of people weren't able to gas up. And if you've seen any of the memes where it's like, oh, hey, I've got a gallon of gas, it's worth $4,000 now, that would be why. People were stocking up on gas. Now, it's back up and running. But what exactly happened with this? Who is the one that did this? So, actually, even the government came out and said in a recent press release that they had actually traced the attack back to Russian organized crime. Is that a surprise? No, not really. A lot of countries that don't like us will do all sorts of things just to screw with us. We don't do politics on this channel, but so I will cover this part briefly. Even though it looks kind of like a terrorist attack, the government decided that they weren't going to do anything with this because Colonial Pipeline is a private company, and they decided to let Colonial just do what they wanted on their own, and they were going to stay out of it. Whatever your thoughts on that are, doesn't matter on this channel. We don't do politics. I'm just covering the attack. So the U.S. said, nope, don't worry about it. We're going to let you guys deal with this. However, it was asked, somebody said, well, is Russia going to go ahead and take care of these organized crime? Probably not, or whether or not the criminals are working with the government on that one, meaning the Russian government, don't know, but I can't prove any of that. So, moving on. Why is this a bad thing to have happen? Obviously, it stops a lot of things, and it causes some problems. What ended up coming out of it, and why is gas now coming back to these places? Because Colonial paid the ransomware. Now, you might say, well, how much did they make? They paid the ransomware. What was given to the media was roughly about $5 million. So not a small chunk of change at all. Now, this is both good and bad because it's kind of like giving into terrorists or kidnappers. Are they really going to give you your stuff back when you pay? And is that stuff going to be normal? Or are they just going to mess with you and say, oh, psych, I got your money, I'm out now, because it's not like you can track it. So the good thing is it seems to have given them their systems back. The hard part is that means that anybody who has any thought of, hey, if they're in a different country and they want to try to mess with the US or a major system, well, the last one's got paid $5 million and I want a payday, so let's go for it. So it definitely gives attackers a really good reason to, hey, let's do it again. Let's find somebody else we can mess with and get another big payday. So it's a hard one. Now, I'm very sure that the cybersecurity experts in Colonial are probably scouring the system, finding out exactly what happened, why, and making sure that none of their stuff was messed with, which generally takes a very long time. Now, you might say, well, where did the ransomware come from? In this one, we're pretty sure ransomware usually just comes from an email. My guess, and what seems to be the very popular thought on online on this one, is that somebody probably just opened an email they shouldn't have. We talked in a previous video, actually it's going to be linked down below, it's the security, the 3 ings. We talked about scam emails and how sometimes if you click on that email, it will take you to a site or it'll download something. My guess is that somebody got a scam email, they clicked on it, and it caused this because it downloaded the ransomware and spread to other systems because that's how a network works. Now, not all ransomware does this. Usually it's very, very educated and well-made ransomware that does this, that can spread so easily and do so many bad things. So very likely, yeah, it's going to be, that's why when they say Russian criminal organized crime, it's probably very accurate because not a whole lot of people have all the money, the time, and the knowledge to do this, or would they want to risk it without having the big payday. So it's got to be someone with the time, the money, and the knowledge. So is that exactly what happened? Don't know yet. But that's my assumption, is that somebody or people clicked on a link and it downloaded a bunch of ransomware. Now, here's the other hard part. Attacks rarely will stay within just, oh, this person got hurt, done. Because of the ransomware and because of the stopping of gas, a lot of gas stations took a huge hit. Now, a lot of people seem to think, oh, well, gas stations make a ton of money because they sell gas and gas is expensive. So they make all that money. No. if you do a quick little bit of research about it, they only make, after all the charges and all the overhead and everything else, they only make about 2 cents per gallon. And on average, most gas stations make maybe about $100 a day on gas. So how are gas stations staying open? When you go and stop by the gas station, you get your gas, you go in for food, for drinks, for snacks, for windshield wash food, whatever else. That's where the gas stations are making their money. So it didn't only hurt Colonial because they had to pay and they had terrible business for about a week. It also really hurt gas companies, or the gas stations, that were out in those states. So it definitely has far-reaching effects, so we will see what happens. But this is the kind of stuff I love. Not because I wish ill will on anybody, and I do not like malicious attackers, but it's always interesting to see who gets hit and how they get hit. Because it means that something, either somebody wasn't trained properly, their systems were not as secure as they thought, or something else was going on. And it's always interesting to see what happens, especially in this case because it's a gigantic private company that was affecting a lot of the East Coast, and it's now interesting to see how it was handled and what's going to happen from here on out. So, always interesting stuff. Not good, but interesting. There's a difference. This is a bad interesting, but it's still interesting to learn from. So, learn from the past, learn from mistakes. Hopefully nobody clicks on any ransomware emails in the future, and hopefully they have much, much better training for their employees in the future, or whatever might have happened with this. So, if you have any questions about, hey, what else was going on with this, or you have a dispute about something, let me know down in the comments. If you want to make any requests about, hey, can you do a future video on this? Let me know in the comments down below. I love hearing from you. I love seeing, and I love being able to educate you and even learn stuff myself. It's always fun and good times. In the future, somebody did ask, well, how do you get into the IT world? Because they really wanted to start. I will see if I can make a video on that as well. So, in the meantime, have a wonderful day and thanks for joining me. And this is Suits, signing off.